rolling on the river.
Rolling, rolling, rolling.
I said go big blue. This a letter to Lexington, message from me to you. Never thought I'd make it in a place like this. Never thought I'd make it in a place like this. Never thought I'd make it in a place like this. Never thought I'd make it in a place like this.
Well, Anthony Smallwood.
Well, hey, Martina.
Oh my goodness. It's been a while since we've done this.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I think it's been a little over a year since probably almost 3. I've been at LEX for almost 3 years. Can you believe it?
Oh my gosh, have you really?
Yeah. So I think it's been like 3 years since I actually got to sit down in front of I guess cameras are here, and talk to you.
Wait, there's cameras?
Yeah, so, okay, there is just so much I want to get into when it comes to you. I don't even know where to start. Let's kind of start at your current position, and we're going to kind of work our way back. Does that sound good?
That works for
All
me.
right, so right now we're here at LexArts.
Yeah.
And how long have you been here, and kind of what got you in this transition to LexArts?
Wow, that's a big one. I have been here since December of 2024, and I was at my previous position for 7 years, and I just felt like it was time for a new challenge. I still believe in where I used to be. I still believe in their mission and all that the good things they're doing and the people they're helping. But for me personally, it was time to get to surround myself by a more positive atmosphere, meaning, I'm working with the arts. That's my passion. I've always been involved in the arts in some capacity my entire life. Yeah. So it's kind of like coming back home. I feel like I finally have worked myself into my dream job. And I just love it here.
I love it. You mentioned the arts and having a passion for it. I believe the arts are within everything. And when we talk about like the fabric of Lexington from history to present day, how has the arts impacted you, and why do you think it's so important to Lexington?
I mean, I can't think of Lexington without the arts. There are so many artistic people, and there are so many different reflections of different lifestyles, and that's what makes Lexington so beautiful to me. Yeah. I've lived in England. I lived in England for a couple of years. I did some theater over there. I've lived in Minnesota, did a lot of theater there. But I always came home. My family was from Eastern Kentucky, and I migrated at some point to Lexington, the big city.
Yes.
And every time I've left, I've always wanted to come home, because this is where it's at. This is where it's happening. This is, people don't really get how progressive and how positive and beautiful Lexington is. It's one of the prettiest places in the world. And I've seen a lot of them.
Right. I mean, with you moving and coming back, and you talk about how Lexington is so progressive. What are some things that for people that are even local, because sometimes I figure, me being a Lexingtonian, that sometimes the locals don't even know everything that Lexington has to offer. So what is like one of those hidden gems that you would say?
I'm not trying to sell us as perfect. We still have a ways to go. But I do find that more people celebrate diversity here than any place I've been before. I was in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and there was a lot of different things going on, but there were also a lot of groups that do that one and groups that do this one. I feel like there's a lot more overlap in Lexington. I can go to the Roots and Heritage Festival and have an amazing time. Obviously not probably your typical, but that's just the way Lexington is. You can go with me to a drag show, and guess what? We're going to have a good time, and they're going to say, "Girl, I love your hair. Oh my God!" And they're going to try to put you on stage because you're so beautiful. So there's so many good things going on, and I do feel like there's a lot of overlap with a lot of the different people here.
Yeah, I think a lot of the conversations that I have with people is the through line of like the connectivity, everyone is like a 1 to 2 degree separation. This person is working with this person, and that
Right.
person that knows that person is working with this person. And that's what I really, really love about Lexington. And when it comes to events and like you mentioned, to go into a drag show. Now, speaking of drag,
I've heard that there are some pretty interesting drag performers in this town.
I've heard there's
I have
interesting
heard.
drag brunches.
I have heard. I've heard about this. I have heard about this.
Now, who is this wonderful woman?
Well, this heifer is Helena Handbasket. And if you don't get to play on words, people have
Yes.
got to get. I get so tired of people calling her Helena
Oh
because she
my-
doesn't lean.
Helena
and
Handbasket,
Helena,
people.
it's like, it's not Helena. It's go to Helena Handbasket. Get
Yeah.
it? Go to Helena Handbasket.
Handbasket.
Yeah. So yeah, she's part of the persona that creates me.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your persona and your journey. I mean, when did you get started in drag?
Honestly, when I lived in England, I had just finished playing Joseph in the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and the run was over, and the next show that there were auditions for was Le Cage aux Folles. And a lot of people don't realize that the movie The Birdcage with Robin Williams and Nathan Lane was adapted from that musical. And so I auditioned for the part of the butler.
Interesting.
And he said, I'd like to offer you the role of Phaedra. And I just kind of looked at him and I said, I'm kind of embarrassed to say, but I'm not familiar enough with the script to know who Phaedra is. And he said, she's the lead, Kajel. And I went, Kajel, I'm sorry, wait a minute, she? What? You want me to do drag? That's how
Oh no! So you weren't really into it at first.
I thought, you know what? That's so stereotypical. I'm not gonna do drag.
Yeah.
You know, but
You did it.
I thought, okay, well, so it was funny because I told him, I said, okay, if I take this role, I've got 2 conditions. I probably shouldn't say this. And he said, and those are, looking at me like, I'm the director, you don't get to make conditions.
Right.
And I said, I want the biggest hair and I want the biggest boobs.
I mean, you gotta go big or go home. Like
I'm from
if you're gonna
Kentucky,
do-
baby.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it right.
I need some southern teased up hair. And he went, done. And that's how I got on stage the first time and learned how to tap dance in high heels.
That's amazing. I didn't even know that. For some reason, I thought you got started here in this area, but it's great that theater background in England and has worked its way across the pond and blessed the city with your presence.
Well,
I mean,
she really was by accident, though. I mean, I did not expect or plan to be some drag artist in Lexington. I was writing an article, kind of, my pen name was Helena Handbasket, and I was writing an anonymous article for what was then the GLSO newsletter. And it was kind of a playful Dear Abby kind of article, and people would email questions, and then I would, with humor, answer those questions in the article. And it was called That's What I'm Talking About by Helena Handbasket. And so anyway, they wanted Helena to be in the July 4th parade with them that year. And I was like, I had only just written under that name.
Yeah.
So I told my other half, I was like, oh my gosh, what does a Helena Handbasket even look like? So I kind of quickly had to invent what that was. And trust me, she's gone through many different
variations and growth
definitions since
yeah.
then. Yeah, but she went out and made people laugh, and people were just running up and hugging her, and I just thought, there's something there. And so I did a few charity shows, and it just kind of kept progressing, and now I do one-woman shows, and I travel to Florida and Texas and New York and wherever they will pay me to come, and you know, I do live vocals and comedy mostly.
Yeah, you also do these amazing drag brunches as well.
Well,
that
yeah.
it's hard to get a ticket. I mean, you sell out in the less than 18 hours most times, maybe in a few hours. How has that been to kind of have this outpouring support from the community?
Of course it's beautiful. How, you know, it was unexpected. I didn't know if it would take off or how well it would take off. And truly not bragging, because I'm just as blown away as anybody else, but we've not had one yet that's not been sold out. And that just blows my mind because, and we get such a diverse audience too. We get, we get people that are of a certain age, as am I. But then we get, young people coming in and gay, straight, all the genders, all the colors, all the ethnicities, all the, drama that goes with life. We get everybody in there. And usually at the end of the show, the last thing I say before I tell everybody it's over is look around the room. Look at all the different people in this room. And it worked for the last 2 hours. Take this out there and make it happen.
Love that you're making that connection because I think it's important. It's important. I feel like, yes, there's a lot of differences, but a lot of times we have a lot more in common than we think. And I think at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be supported and loved, right? And, you mentioned your partner, Dean, who I've had the pleasure to meet. How has his support through all of these transitions and just life in general?
He's been there. He's been there the whole time. I want to go back to what you just said, though. I think Lexington, our differences, we do have a lot of differences, and you said we have more in common. But putting aside what we have in common, I celebrate our differences.
Right.
I learn from people who are different from me. I am exposed to new foods and new cultures and new ways of doing hair, new fashion,
new ideas,
new ideas,
outlooks on life.
So it's our differences that get me excited, not our similarities. Yeah. Okay, great, we've got that in common. That's beautiful. But it's the differences that make it special, make it fun, make it exciting, and celebrating each other's differences and not being afraid of them.
Right.
I think is the lesson that all of us need to learn. Myself too, sometimes.
Yeah, that not being afraid, that not being fearful.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the work that you've done in the community, one might be afraid to speak out or be themselves or give back to certain marginalized communities. And we can touch on a little bit about your work with AVOL, and you were there for 7 years. So tell me, what was the most rewarding thing and the most challenging thing with working with communities affected by HIV?
The most challenging thing for me really was more of a personal thing. It wasn't something that a difficulty from AVOL itself, but being a gay man of a certain age, I lived through the epidemic. And I remember people taking plastic flatware into a restaurant because they didn't know how well the fork was sanitized, thinking they were going to get AIDS from a fork, So I remember, and I was a hairdresser back in the day, and seeing so many of my friends get sick and die, that really affected me. So fast forward all these years later as an adult to have a job working with and around HIV every day had its real down times for me. And so it was personally difficult sometimes, but that was replaced by the good things we did. We raised money so that we could continue to keep people healthy and do the free testing and all that. So it was a significant part of my life, 7 years, and I'm glad I did it, but I'm equally glad to have moved on because, like I said, the arts are always so uplifting and positive. And even when they're not, they still make you think. They still inspire us to, to stretch our boundaries, so to speak. So I love being here, but yeah, I'm glad for my time at AVOL.
Yeah, when it comes to stretching boundaries, what do you feel like Lexington as a community can do more to stretch the boundaries, whether to be more welcoming or to push different types of stereotypes or things like that? Like, how can we as a community stretch our boundaries?
Don't be afraid. Stop being afraid. And I say that because so often it's that fear of not understanding, or I just think it's the fear of not understanding each other that divides us. Let go of that fear and don't be so afraid to look at what we have, what we have different between us. it's a good thing. So I really think letting go of the fear of being different, I had to do that personally.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up in a very country family, and the warmest, most loving, beautiful people in the world. But if you were different, you really didn't have a real place at that table. Now, my mommy never turned anybody away from the table, but I mean, much of my family, you know, I can remember all kinds of discriminations, whether it be people of color, whether it be gay people, whether it be, you know, rich people, you know, because my family was a very humble, poor family growing up, you know, so, and rather than try to accept or understand people who were different, often it was, they made fun of them. And I think if you want to try to help the community to grow, when someone does make a funny about somebody that's different, don't laugh. It's not funny. And call them out on it.
Right.
Say, you know, I appreciate that you might not understand where they're coming from, but that's really not funny.
Yeah.
I've done it.
I mean, you should.
I've lost
Call
friends
out.
over it, but I don't, do I need that kind of friend?
No. And I love you saying do it afraid and talking about, you know, you might not be welcomed at the table, but sometimes you gotta build your own table. And I think you've done that. I think a lot of people in the Lexington community has done that. And, you know, when working in tourism, right, I get the privilege of working with so many different personalities and different people, whether it's you know, Lexington is a big small town sometimes. So
Oh,
sometimes
yeah.
a little tea here and there, it's okay. But we all try to come together. So when it comes to like doing things in Lexington, I've kind of been asking people what their perfect day in Lexington, like what does that look like from sun up to sundown from you?
You know, again, my interests are so diverse.
Yeah.
The perfect day today and the perfect day tomorrow are going to look very different, but still it was a perfect day.
Yeah.
Any day I'm on this side of the daisies, I figure it's a perfect day, or at least one to celebrate. My perfect day in Lexington. That's a hard question because for me, waking up, hearing the birds sing, feeling the warmth on my skin, being fortunate enough to be surrounded by people that I feel truly get me and love me.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing, you know. And back to the question about Dean, that's a perfect day to
Yeah.
get to sit and just whatever we do it together. And we've been together now for 33 years. And Dean is my best friend. Dean and I have, you know, we've buried all four of our parents. We've gone through grief together, but we've had so many highs and so many wonderful experiences together. And really, you know, it's frickin' frack. It's, you know, Mutt and Jeff, Tom and Jerry, Anthony and Dean, you know, it just, same thing.
Yeah.
Sonny and Cher. Oh wait, they broke up. Never mind.
No.
Captain and Tennille, love will keep us together. Well, it didn't. They didn't stay together either.
Sometimes love is not enough, but
That is so true. That's a whole different interview,
that's a
girl.
whole different interview. That's a relationship show type of interview. I like this. This feels like a real little banter.
I know, right?
One of the things I love about you, or it's an ode to you, is the Mama's Little Helper at Eppings. I don't think people know that drink is named after you, or Mama's Little Helper at Eppings. So how did that happen?
So my character, Helena Handbasket, that I play, I often refer to her and people call her Mama. Because that started because I'm usually the oldest person in the show. And so I do like me a good lemon drop martini. And I went on vacation someplace and they made a lemon drop martini with lavender syrup. So it was a lavender lemon drop martini. And my brain exploded. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the best drink I've ever had. So at Eppings, where we do the drag brunch, I told Chris about it and he told the bar staff, and they got creative and they started making lavender syrup, and now they have their version of the lavender lemon drop martini. And so they put it on the menu, and since I was the one that kind of inspired it there, they named it after Mamaw. So it's Mamaw's Little Helper. So Helena Handbasket is the Mamaw that you're they're referring to.
And it's such a delicious drink. I wish we gotta go get one right now.
Let's go.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It doesn't have to be 5 o'clock. As long as the bar's open, we can have a good time.
Honey, that's right.
My final, wrapping up this interview question for you is that you talked about, sometimes you're the oldest person in the show, right? And a lot of times, most times I like to think, wisdom comes with age, right?
Oh, yeah, that. Okay.
But, what do you want to leave to the people coming up behind you?
Ooh.
That's
We're going to go there.
Yeah.
This is that quote that they play upon my death, right? They find in the old footage, hopefully very old footage, by the time I check out of this hotel called life. What do I want to leave behind? Kindness, a spirit of kindness, a spirit of camaraderie and love and acceptance. You know, somebody, I forget who it was, said there's only really, truly only two emotions in the world, and that's love and fear. A lot of hate comes from fear. So I want to be known as someone that was loving, that was giving, that was kind, but wasn't going to take any off anybody.
Right.
You know, being kind does not mean being a floor mat. I will be kind to you, but don't think you can walk on me just because. What's that old saying? Don't interpret my kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
Oh, honey, I've had to be very strong my whole life to just be who I am, you know?
Yeah, and I think
without apology. So kindness, I hope I leave behind a spirit of, I inspire others to show people kindness and love.
And I think you're doing that, whether you know it or not. I think you're doing that, and I think, Lexington is very grateful to have you. I'm grateful to know you, so thank you so much for sitting down with me and just chatting. I've been wanting to play with that fan, though, because...
Go on, pop it.
You already know what I want to do.
Oh, that was pretty good.
This is a good
one. See, I knew you could.
Where the fans at? Where the fans at? Where the fans at? Thank you, Anthony, and also Helena, for
It's
joining
always
me.
my pleasure to be with you. I've enjoyed it.
This is a letter from me to you. I said go big blue. I said go big blue. I said go big blue. This a letter to Lexington, message from me to you. Never thought I'd